in this territory setup if I wanted to place my army into one place so my troops wouldn't become blocked if my opponent goes to a different part of the map, I had to place my army in either of these two territories. But if my opponent put his army to this territory, then he would be able to crush my army no matter in which territory I would put my army to. So since it was an obvious play for my opponent, I decided to do the troop split, and add half of the troops to one of these territories, while the other one to somewhere else so after my opponent crushes my first army, that one would be unleashed towards the other part of the map. Anyway, what happened is that my opponent didn't go where I predicted, but it would have still led to the same result either way no matter which of the armies he crushed. He as the attacker got the attacker's advantage of crushing one of my armies, in this case losing even 4 troops fewer, and I got to decrease my territorial troop bonus by capturing all of those territories. So I was already in a really disadvantageous situation. Though I made the mistake here by unleashing his army here as I forgot that he had left some troops there. But despite me capturing those territories in the right side of the map, my opponent only ended up having 1 territory fewer, so unless my opponent would have gotten some terrible blitzes, so this is why I left both of the 2 troop armies in those places. My opponent, despite losing some troops, still invaded me into both of those continents, and then won the 4 versus 2 blitz roll at the left side. So the game was basically lost for me. I still tried hoping in a good luck in cards while my opponent wouldn't get one, but that didn't happen, so I obviously lost. So personally, as the second player on the United States world domination, I don't really think it's that great to make 2 armies instead of 1 when you're not forced to. I think it would have just been better if I had placed my troops to 1 big army. So even if my opponent got a good blitz, he wouldn't be able to increase his territorial advantage that much. Or if you go with the splitting strategy, then I think it's better to split your armies in the way that with your opponent crushing one of them he would have to leave 3 troops behind in order to crush the other one, so to potentially have not that much good of a blitz. So like if my armies were in those territories with my opponent placing his biggest army in this territory. Anyway, looking to this game for one more time, I see that maybe I panicked too much, that I necessarily have to add my army in one of those 2 territories, or at least do the troop split in one of them, as even if I were cut off from those continents by placing my army to somewhere else, it would have been either relatively hard for my opponent to hold those continents, or he would have been with a lot of troops blocked. So while I was in the game, I was more looking from my perspective, but it would have been really helpful to look from my opponent's perspective as well. But anyway, let me know what are your thoughts on all of that in the comments section down below.